Gravity Falls ended in early 2016, but back when the show was still running, a decently sized group of very vocal fans had one big problem with the show: Mabel. To this day, there persist some who hate one of the two main characters. There are dozens of videos attacking Mabel and twice that many attacking the attacks. So why do some people dislike her? Is it justified? And spoiler warning, since this video did need a title, it isn't. But why do I dislike her? Because of the very same reason. Most of the hatred comes from viewers who complain about Mabel being selfish. Even Alex Hirsch acknowledges it, making her say that she neglected those who want her and caused an entire apocalypse. So what am I going to do? Disagree with the person who literally created her? Well, yes! Because that's bullshit! Let's look at the moments for which Mabel gets called selfish by people who are normally fans of the show. And because I don't want to argue against people without ever showing their opinion directly, here's a video with 12 million views.
Marvel, as the writers, take the best character and gradually make her the worst character by having her learn no lessons for 40 episodes. Then watch as Marbles makes Dipstick give up everything so she can have summer free time and boys over and over again. And she's just totally selfish all the time. And they bring it up in universe and it just never gets resolved. Like, literally the devil calls her out on it.
This is from Jelly Apocalypse's video, so this is basically Gravity Falls, a comedic and not serious summary of the show. But this part?
Seriously though, is Mabel just gonna get away with all that shit, or?
It isn't a joke. The examples he gives are from The Deep End, Time Traveler's Pick, Sock Opera, Boys Crazy, and Whitmageddon Part 2, plus Bill Cipher calling her out in it. Those are the main episodes that get thrown around by people with this opinion, so let's have a closer look at them with the addition of a few extra ones. In The Deep End, Dipper sacrifices his job for Mabel. That is a deeply weird summary of what happens, yet I heard multiple people state this. Mermando is trapped inside a pool, unable to leave, and has been there for so long that rumors have spread about him. Which is also weird, because the episode starts on the first day the pool opened. Mabel basically helps a 12-year-old imprisoned boy who's trying to get back to his family, knowing there is no chance for the two of them to get together. But the people who claim otherwise aren't lying. It is literally what the show says. The narrative goes out of its way to make Dipper does it because Mabel has a crush the official explanation.
Mabel, those are pool supplies. I'll get fired.
Dipper, don't you know what it's like to fall for someone? Even though you know in your heart that it'll probably never work out, but you do anything for that person?
Give Mermando the megaphone.
Thanks, Dip.
The narrative is just weirdly unfair towards Mabel, especially since the choice Dipper has isn't even keep the job or not. Stan cut a hole in the fence and there were dents in the poolmobile, so even if he would have decided not to side with Mabel, he wouldn't have kept his job anyway. An actual description of his choices would be: give a dude a megaphone, or decide that a 12-year-old boy won't find his family and that he has to try to survive on his own. And what if he would have to sacrifice his job? He started it 1 day ago to spend time with the crush he doesn't have a chance with and who he sees almost every single day at his normal job already. In the Time Traveler's Pick, Dipper sacrifices his chances with Wendy for Mabel. Yet another example of Dipper sacrificing something that does not matter for something much more important. Yet the series makes it look like Mabel is overreacting and selfish. Behind curtain A we have Wendy going out with a slimy-haired wannabe emo. Still better than Fourth Wave, which changes nothing for Dipper because the two won't be together. He's too young, he knows he's too young, and Wendy isn't even mad at him for getting hurt. She shrugs it off and never brings it up again. Behind curtain B we have animal cruelty, and maybe, probably Waddles being dead. I totally forgot about it, so thank you Cartoon Chief for reminding me. The pigs are getting handed out with a fork and knife. And let's just say that Pacifica is the definition of cunty. I would not let her near any animal that isn't a constantly suffering dog breed inside of a handbag. Also, you just don't fuck with someone's pet. That's a shitty thing to do. If I fell in love with a cat and a person who's consistently and constantly an asshole towards me gets it instead and probably kills it, I'd be depressed too. Dipper isn't sacrificing anything. Nothing would change if it went his way, and Mabel even helped him for no reason besides her being a loving sister. Sock opera. While Mabel is sometimes criticized for how she acts in this episode, I've never seen anyone take issue with the moment shown here, and I don't really see a reason to focus on it either. It's a short fight between Mabel and Dipper since she promised to help him but pushes it back like a few days since what she wants to do has a deadline, what Dipper wants to do has none at this point. Not a big deal. The moment people normally judge her for is Mabel considers giving Bill the journal. First of all, she met Bill a single time before when he was doing what someone else told him to. 2. She neither knows the importance of nor what Bill wants to do with the journal. 3. She defeated Bill before. 4. She doesn't give it to him. 4. There's literally a full theater of people watching her show getting absolutely annihilated and she does it anyway. 7. And 4. She's a 12-year-old getting manipulated by the freaking master of manipulation and still does not give it to him. 4. Little Gift Shop of Horrors is not a canon episode, so I don't really care. I haven't seen anyone bring it up, but just in case someone wants to cite this as another example of someone sacrifices X for Mabel, this episode is the only non-canonical one in the entire show, so it doesn't really matter. She's an absolute cunt in Boys Crazy. Yes, she is. Seriously, this is Mabel at her absolute worst, and she still comes around, acknowledges she fucked up, and apologizes to the people affected by her behavior. Because of her, Dipper does not take Ford's apprenticeship. I hate to say it, but good. Alex Hirsch described Dipper's one fatal flaw as him wanting to grow up too fast and thereby to skip his childhood. He created Ford as a cautionary tale of what following that path would lead to. Being obsessed, having lasting trauma, not trusting his family, and instead being isolated and lonely. If you didn't fully read the character that way, and therefore felt bad for Dipper when he doesn't take the apprenticeship, that is honestly fair. I think Ford is a well-written character and it's easy to get his message, don't get me wrong, but he's also just not a person I ever felt particularly sorry for after he got back. He simply looks too happy for me to fear making the same mistakes as him. Someone we do feel sorry for though is McGucket, the last partner Ford had, who abandoned his normal life, which turned him just as paranoid and traumatized as Ford is, or at least was. Dipper would meet the same end. Check out these two linked videos if you want to hear Alex Hirsch explain it himself. Besides the apprenticeship being bad for Dipper, all that Mabel did was kinda be self-centered while having a breakdown. A person saying something too harsh that they don't stand behind the next day isn't great but pretty normal, and as much as I don't want to repeat the she's 12 years old argument every time, to be fair, she's 12 years old. Her being self-centered at the thought of her brother and best friend leaving her behind after all that's happened that day, as well as, which is heavily implied in the Book of Bill, coming back home to her parents getting a divorce, it's understandable. And even without all of that, if a friend of mine would be selfish while being in such a dreadful mental space, a casual apology would be enough for me to forgive them. Hurt people. It isn't good, but it's human. She literally caused the apocalypse. This is the main point people talk about, and did you watch the episode and think that's a fair description? Because that is less honest framing than keeps doing. Let's talk about what actually happens in the episode. Mabel's plot is about her being hyped about her birthday and becoming a teenager. Then, her dreams of high school get turned into her fearing it. Her best friend won't be at her birthday party. They also won't even be there to say goodbye, meaning that she has less time with them and won't see them for even longer than she thought. Summer is coming to an end and she has to leave Gravity Falls. She tries to reach Dipper for emotional support but can't, only to then overhear him talking about wanting to leave her behind even though they've never really been apart before. Does all of this justify creating the apocalypse? Hell no, but that is not what she decides to do. Blandon, a person she has a very positive connection to, promises her a time bubble she has full control over in exchange for something small he won't even know it's missing. Ford did not tell her about the rift, and in this very episode said Bill is out there and he'd use any trick from deception to outright possession, which he also did not tell Mabel about. All of this happened because of Ford's trust issues towards family. Mabel would not have given the rift to Bill. She freaks out when Bill reveals himself. It's Ford's fault. He did not trust and kept secrets from her. This is also not on Mabel. In Weird Mageddon Part 2, she's hypnotized. You remember that, right? That Mabel is literally hypnotized by Bill? Once she decides to leave her bubble, she rubs her eyes, says she never noticed how bright it is, and asks if she really has been listening to the same song all week. Oh, and she also says that it's okay if Dipper wants to take the apprenticeship. Time for a quick recap. Deep End, Mabel was right. Time Traveler's Pick, Mabel was right. Sock Opera, Mabel briefly considered doing a bad thing and then did not do it. Little Gift Shop of Horrors, not canon. Boys Crazy, fair enough. Dipper and Mabel versus the future. It is good that Dipper decided against the apprenticeship, but Mabel would have supported him either way, and she did not know who she was giving what to, both because of Ford, and in Weird Baguette Part 2, she was hypnotized. But if that's the case, whether I say that I dislike her because of the reasons I just debunked, I will get into that in just a second, but before, if there's another episode you're thinking of, feel free to say so in the comments, I will read them. Also, I just really want comments. Please help me feel like I ain't purely talking to myself up here. Also, ×2, maybe some of y'all already saw Cartoon Cheese's new-ish video, Mabel Isn't Terrible, actually. I wanted to do my video for a while, and after I started working on it, I found his. It's fairly similar, and I actually hadn't thought of some of the stuff he said. So both a big thank you, and if you want to see another person's take on this topic, including him addressing a few different episodes than I am doing, please check it out. And know the irony of my channel with 7 subscribers, shouting out a dude with over 200k is not lost on me. Now, why did I just spend an entire video arguing that Mabel isn't selfish if I think she is? Well, because I know I'm wrong. If I only watch the show instead of analyzing it, in my eyes she comes across as clearly selfish. She isn't, but for some reason the show portrays her like she is. In the deep end, Mabel was right. Dipper had the decision between giving someone a megaphone, not losing his job, he would have lost it anyway, only giving someone a freaking megaphone, or keeping a child separated from his family. Yet the show explicitly turns it into Dipper sacrifices his job because Mabel has a crush. Same thing in Time Traveler's Pick. Dipper doesn't sacrifice anything. Once again, Mabel was in the right. But if you watch the episode, it makes her overreact as a punchline, making it very hard to relate to her. In Boys Crazy, the only episode where she simply is selfish, she just randomly turns into an awful person, which she has never done before because any of her other crushes. In Weird Mageddon Part 2, she's kind of a dick towards Dipper, genuinely just vibing with a literal replacement for her brother. But hey, we get 2 seconds of, oh, don't worry, she was hypnotized the whole time. And we need someone because of whom the apocalypse can take place. Let's have it be Mabel, but don't worry, we totally agree it's on Ford. Wink wink. But Mabel doesn't look bad enough in this episode already, so let's just act like Dipper is throwing away the biggest opportunity in his life because of Mabel. I'm sure 12-year-old Harlequin watching the show for the first time won't be super pissed at her for that. Okay. I'm aware this is becoming more of a rant than anything else, but I hope my main issue comes across clearly. Gravity Falls does Mabel dirty. She is collateral damage of both plotlines and Dipper's character arc, and since she's even more static in personality than he is, it comes across as her not learning anything when she makes mistakes. And making Bill point out that Dipper keeps on sacrificing for his sister only fuels the fire, no matter if what he's saying is right or wrong. Actually, I'm not even sure if the show thinks he's wrong. Later on in the episode, Mabel is considering giving Bill the journal and only stops because she gets reminded that Dipper is willing to sacrifice everything for her. This doesn't say that he did it or that Mabel is selfish, but it's not unreasonable to take away that impression. There are countless times where on a surface level it looks like Mabel is being selfish. Only if you stop to think about it, every example of this, besides Boy Crazy, falls apart. But while Gravity Falls isn't only for kids, a lot of people, me included, started watching it as a kid. Even as a child, I was very interested in the theories and mysteries of the show. But good luck finding a 12-year-old having the same amount of excitement about cool monsters and an epic showdown against the main villain, and the critical analysis of behavior between the characters. This could also be why the voices of those who hate on Mabel have gotten quieter. The fandom simply got older. Those who casually watched the show and liked it aren't as present. Those who remain are the ones who are invested, who rewatch the show, those who see that the surface level dragging Mabel through the mud is completely unjustified. Hey, thanks for watching and sticking around till the end. I hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as I did making it. If so, please leave a like and a sub. If you disagree with my take or just want to share your opinion, go ahead and tell me.